Welcoming you for this live Q&A session, and before we begin, let's quickly chant our prayers. Om Jnana-timirandasya Jnana-anjana-shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utabadakamalam Shri Guru Vaishnavamsha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhan Vitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishvanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha kalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhaiva cha patitanam papanebhyo vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Vrishthaya Bhutale Srimade Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nidhi Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashyati Deshatarine Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamam Vande Shri Guru Dinataranam Paramanandam Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So here we have the list of questions what all of you have posted, and we try to serve you by giving the answers to these questions. So the first question for the day is by Nagesh Muholkar. Yes. What is the meaning of Srimad, which is written before Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam? Srimad Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam. So Srimad is a title for offering respect, basically, like how we have Mr. or Shri. So like that, respectfully we add that title. So that is how it becomes Srimad. It indicates auspiciousness, it basically indicates auspiciousness and the feeling of reverence. Okay, next question is by Bhanumati. What is the Panagni-vidya recommended in Chandogya Upanishad that is told in purport 8.16 and also in 8.13? Please explain that part of the purport. Yes, Bhanumati. So in Chandogya Upanishad, there is this Vedic sacrifice process is mentioned where I'll just read this particular purport. On the sacrificial altar, 5 kinds of offerings are made into 5 kinds of fire. The 5 kinds of fire are conceived of as the heavenly planets, clouds, earth, man and woman. And the 5 kinds of sacrificial offering are faith, the enjoyer, on the moon, rain, grains and semen. So the process is very simple. This particular sacrifice that is being described in Chandogya Upanishad, the person performs that sacrifice, he gains great material piety, punya, and this piety helps him go to the higher planets, to the heavenly planets where he enjoys. And the limit of his enjoyment is decided by the piety that he has gained by performing that sacrifice. So after that piety finishes, his time in the heavenly planet gets over, then he falls down from the heavenly planets on the earthly plane, and then he comes to the clouds. When the clouds pour rain, it goes into the ground. And from there, the living entity enters the grains. because the grains require this water. So through the medium of the cloud, the rain, it enters the grains, and then that grain is eaten by the man, and then through the man, through the semen of the man, this individual soul gets impregnated in the womb of his mother, and then he comes out in the human form, and then he performs again this sacrifice. So this is the cycle which he follows. So he comes, he performs the sacrifice, again he gains merit, again he goes to the heavenly planet, and then the same process follows. So this is what is being described here in the third verse, and the devotees do not really perform this because we understand the whole exercise is an exercise in futility, because the position that one receives after performing the sacrifice is temporary, right? And again it has to perform. So, the devotees are not really interested in such temporary sacrifices.
So moving to the next question by Nagesh Moholkar. Hare Krishna. It is said that there is degradation in thinking of humans as yoga processes. In
Yuga
progresses. In Kaliyuga, degradation is at fullest. My question is that why is this degradation happens? Why people don't have patience or dharya and have restless mind? So Nagesh, your question about this, how there is a degradation which comes with like every passing yuga or with the passing of time. So now, to understand this, first we have to understand the four principles we talk about in Iskcon, the four principles which we are supposed to follow, where we talk about no meat eating, no illicit sex, no gambling, and
no intoxication.
So there are four regulative principles which we talk in Iskcon about. So now these four regulative principles actually are there to keep us grounded at human level so that we do not degrade. Otherwise, if we see, actually the religion stands on basically four pillars. There are four pillars of religion: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. And by indulging into activities like when a person becomes too attached to his ego, pride, and intoxicant, then he gives up the austerity. Then he is not able to perform the austerity. So that degradation happens. So that pillar of dharma gets broken. When a person gets into too much into enjoyment with opposite sex, then the cleanliness, the dharma of cleanliness is broken, because cleanliness means internal and external cleanliness both. But if there is too many thoughts going on within the mind about the opposite sex, then that is very, very contaminating, and that pillar gets broken. Talking about mercy, so if a person is too involved in meat eating, then he cannot be compassionate or merciful. And when the person is too much into gambling, then he cannot be actually truthful. So actually the dharma stands on these four pillars: austerity, cleanliness, mercy, and truthfulness. But with the passage of time, people gradually degrade. So these virtues, it starts declining. And it is said that in Kali Yuga, out of these four legs, only one leg remains. And that particular leg which remains is of truthfulness, and that also with time it starts like breaking down. So this is the real reason of why there is so much of degradation in time. And if we do not want to degrade ourselves, so we must rise up to this standard what Srila Prabhupada has given as a capsule of four regulative principles, and we must start following that. So hope that answers your question.
Next question is also by Nagesh. Hare Krishna. It is said that if one wants to go to spiritual world, then he needs to do bhakti of Lord Krishna fully while remaining anasakt to material world. I have a question here. It is said that we get in next life what we think at the time of death. A person has worshipped Krishna, read Bhagavatam, Bhagavatam, chanted Hare Krishna, Mahamantra, etc. But he has done this in limited amount because he is disturbed by problems of material world. He wants to continue doing this bhakti, but he wants to continue it in the spiritual world, whereas there is no disturbance is there. So if such a person thinks of Vaikuntha Dham at the time of death, then can he go to spiritual world despite his limited amount of bhakti? So, so one thing we understand is that he is performing some limbs of bhakti. He is worshipping the Lord. He is trying to understand the scriptures, which means he has some knowledge of scriptures. If he is receiving that in bona fide sampradaya, he is chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, but he is not really able to perfect his life. He is not able to perfect his devotional service. And so it becomes, so the point is at the time of death, because he has done some devotional service, but he has not perfected it, which means, like for example, in today's session, when we are working on the last portion of the 8th chapter, Krishna talks about Ananya Cheta. He talks about Satatam, Nitya Yukta. So he's using all these words, which means somebody who's completely absorbed in Krishna. He's always concentrating on Krishna without any deviation. So that person very easily achieves the Lord, but not this kind of a person. So what will happen in this kind of a case? Whatever spiritual progress he has done, he will continue till there, and beyond that, he will take next birth. So for example, so that's the beauty we saw in the 2nd chapter, 40th verse, that if I make 2% spiritual progress in the next life, I'll start from 3%. Then after that, I'll start from 4%. So depending on how much progress I made in this life, like if this person has made 50% progress, then in next life, he'll start from 50%. He will not have to start from 0. So that is one good thing about him. So you are saying that if there is so much of disturbance in this life and he's not able to really practice because of those disturbances, then we must see the examples of great devotees. Prahlad Maharaj, his own father, tried to kill him many times in many ways. So are we saying that we are a devotee in this world and we are experiencing more troubles than Prahlad Maharaj? I don't think we can say that. So, I mean, this point that there's so much disturbance, a material world is a place of misery. There will always be misery. There will always be problems. We have to tolerate and we have to continue. So, your assumption that that person, if he thinks of Vaikuntha at the time of death, well, great. If he's able to think of Vaikuntha Dham and if he's able to think of serving the Lord in Vaikuntha Dham, yes, Lord may consider, right? Lord may consider and take him. But then that's not usually the rule. The rule is that we have to perfect ourselves here in this material world. I hope that answers. Nagesh, we'll go to the next question.
So the next question is by Shweta. Why is onion garlic eating is not allowed in Iskcon or as Satvik Aahar? As devotee, what do you do when you visit your relative's home or in-laws' home for a few days and they don't follow Satvik Aahar? They eat veg only but include onion and garlic. Won't it be trouble for relatives because of us? How do you manage that? Okay, so Shweta, your question has 2 parts. So one is you are talking about why do we eat or we do not eat onion and garlic. So talking about onion and garlic, now we in Iskcon or we the devotees, the Vaishnavas, we eat the food which is offered to Krishna. We do not eat anything else. We try to eat as much as possible the food what we offer to Krishna. Now talking about that, we cannot offer onion and garlic because that is not something which Krishna likes. We can offer Krishna what he likes. So he does not like onion and garlic. That is one thing. Second thing, everything in this material world, forget about onion, garlic, even a mango or a papaya, it is actually material. It is not spiritual. So while we are offering these material things to Krishna so that those things become spiritualized, we have to take care of it as what is it that Krishna prefers? What are his requirements, right? So he does not like. And second thing is because second reason for not eating onion and garlic is because if we take onion and garlic, it is a food in mode of ignorance. So if we become what we eat. So if we eat food in the mode of ignorance, then we also become like that. So these are the 2 very strong reasons why we do not eat onion and garlic. There are some other Puranic stories also which equates onion and garlic with the flesh and blood of cow. So there is a Puranic story also, but I'm not telling you that story. More important than the Puranic story for us is Krishna does not like it. So it is very simple for us that we do not eat what Krishna doesn't like. So that is why we don't eat food with onion and garlic. Now, coming to the second part of your question. So we are visiting somebody's home and they do not follow that diet. But what if, like, if I'm visiting to, let's say, my parents' house or my in-laws' house or my relative's house, and if I am sick and the doctor has given me some specific diet, like I can eat only boiled food. Probably I had jaundice and my liver is not fully recovered and I can eat only boiled food. So in that case, what would I do? Will I consider that would it be an inconvenience for the relatives whose house I am visiting? Or do I tell them that I cannot take it because otherwise I die? So if I know that if I eat something which eating that I may die, I will not eat those things, right? I would not consider at that time whether it will be difficulty for the people, for my host. So similarly, when we are eating food which we are not offering to Krishna, or when we are eating food which is tamasic, it is actually killing our soul. Though the soul cannot be killed, but it has the same impact. We go into the lower modes, we go in the mode of ignorance. So I do not want to compromise on that. So whenever we are visiting somebody's house, now we have to see the feasibility also. So before itself, we tell them that we do not eat such and such food. If they are close to you, they would understand and they would like oblige to whatever your request is. If they are not so close, then probably what, like when we have to go, like for example, when I was working and there were some corporate lunches which were arranged and team outing and I had to go. So I would still go there, but then I would eat only say curd rice or plain dosa with coconut chutney so that I'm not bothering others, but simultaneously I'm protecting myself. So you have these options, you can choose based on these options. So hope that answers your question.
Okay, so next question is by Nagesh Molkar. Hare Krishna, what is Sankhya Yoga? Well, Nagesh, Sankhya, it comes from the word Sankhya. Sankhya means counting. So from that, this yoga comes called Sankhya, which means to count. So if we count the elements, if we count the material elements in this particular universe, so that means that is Sankhya Yoga. So for your example, when we were reading the 7th chapter, Krishna talked about 5 gross elements, he talked about 3 subtle elements, and he talked about a superior spiritual energy, Atma. So he was also counting. So that is also part of Sankhya Yoga. So Bhakti Yoga also includes the relevant parts of Sankhya Yoga. So usually there are considered 24 elements in Sankhya Yoga. So there are 5 gross elements. We are aware of those 5 gross elements. Then there are 3 subtle elements, which we are also aware. Then we have 5 sense objects like form or the odor or the sound. So like that, there are 5 sense objects which we can be perceived through senses. So 5 sense objects and 5 senses through which we can perceive that object. Like from the eyes, we can perceive the form. From the ear, we can, the sense of hearing, we can perceive the sound. From the sense of smelling, the nose, we can smell the odor of a particular thing. So like that. So there are 5 sense objects. There are 5 knowledge gathering senses. From the eyes, ears, nose, we have gathered knowledge. So 5 knowledge gathering senses. Then we have 5 action senses, like we have the hands and the legs. So like that, there are 5 action senses. So how many elements we have completed? 23. And we are looking at the last element, and that is spirit soul. So these are the 24 elements that are usually considered part of the Sankhya Yoga. Okay.
So moving to the next question by Sundar Valmurthy. Hare Krishna, Dandavat Pranams. A small doubt in the first chapter in Gita made easy. While you have taught us that Arjun decided not to fight because of his compassion and loss of enjoyment, the quiz 10th question answer reveal that only compassion is correct. Could you please clarify this doubt? Sundar, I need to check this out. I'm not really I don't remember what exactly is that question and answer. So probably we will respond to this query on an email. We will check the quiz and we will get back to you. Moving to the next question by Rajiv KS. Hi, I have started Ekadashi fasting from today, 7/5/2021. Congratulations and a big hari bol. You have taken a big step forward. We are a meat-eating family. My aunt tells me I must not eat meat even on Dashami days, that is previous day of Ekadashi. Please guide me how to do Ekadashi fasting. What are the rules? Is my aunt correct? So Rajiv, your aunt is saying that you should not eat meat on Dashami, whereas I would say you should stop eating meat altogether. So if we are progressing towards spirituality, meat eating is a big, huge blockage. So unless my heart becomes soft, unless I have compassion, why would Krishna show me compassion? If I do not have compassion for other living entities, why would Krishna be compassionate towards me? So I very, very strongly recommend, let your family be meat-eating family, but I'm talking to you, Rajiv, please stop meat eating. That is very, very important. Coming to your question, so yes, traditionally it is said that Ekadashi fast actually begins from Dashmi night itself. So we have to be very careful what is there in our stomach while we are observing the Ekadashi fast. So yes, in that manner, if we go by that, then your aunt, what she's saying is correct. Also, we have done a video on what are the do's and don'ts of Ekadashi. So if you go to our channel, Study Gita channel on the YouTube, the same channel, if you go to the playlist, you will find a complete playlist made of Ekadashi. So there is this video of how to observe Ekadashi. Also, we have a lot of Ekadashi recipe videos to simplify it for you. So kindly go through that and hope it helps. If there is any further doubt, you can write to us at info@studygita.com and we will help you out. Thank you.
Okay, so the next question is by
Hariprasad Krishna. No.
Next question is by Nagesh. There are many problems in this material world. To get relief from these problems, we are told to worship different gods and goddesses. For example, if one consistently wants money in his life, then he should worship Lakshmi Devi. If one wants Shakti, then we should worship Durga Devi. For a happy married life, we should worship Gauri Shankar. We should worship Lord Ganesh. We want to get rid of problems. Or if we are starting any puja, we say Sri Ganeshaya Namaha. We recite Ram Raksha Stotram.
For protecting ourselves. So is this correct if we worship all these Devi Devatas along with Lord Krishna, or is it enough to worship Lord Krishna only instead of worshipping all these gods and goddesses?
Well, Nagesh, it's very simple. There is a plant or there is a tree, and we know that we should water the tree if we want the fruits. So what part of the tree would you water? Would you water every branch? Would you water every twig, every leaf, every flower, and every fruit? Would you do that, or would you just pour water in the root? So when we read Bhagavad Gita, we understand Krishna is the root of the very existence, not just of the entire cosmos, but everybody within this cosmos. So we see in this universe, there are many types of devatas. Krishna is the basis. So all we have to do is just connect ourselves with that basis of this entire universe. That is the Supreme Lord. We just have to worship Him, and we don't really have to do anything else apart from that. And the beautiful part is, see, it is not that Krishna is my Supreme Lord, but He's not Supreme Lord of these devatas. Actually, He's Supreme Lord of those devatas as well. So when we surrender to Krishna, these devatas become very pleased with us. They become very happy. Wow, this person has also surrendered to the Supreme Lord, which means now this person also will get out of the cycle of birth and death. So that they are also devotees. These devatas are also devotees. So as a devotee, when they see that somebody else is also becoming a devotee, they are more happy than receiving a worship from them. Number one. Number two, but if somebody is still very attached to devata worship, so one can do, although it is not very recommended, but one can do, but they should never consider that devata equal to the Supreme Lord. If they still want to offer worship, you offer worship understanding and completely convinced that yes, so I am serving, I am offering this worship to a particular devata, but this devata is not supreme. Krishna is the supreme Lord. So at least that way we will not commit any offense. And following next question, Hare Krishna Mahamantra. Hare means Radha Rani. Why Lakshmi
Or Rukmini?
Devi isn't mentioned in the Mahamantra? We know that Lakshmi Devi is wife of Lord Vishnu. That why we say Lakshmi Narayan, and Rukmini Devi is the main wife of Lord Krishna along with Satyabhama and Jamvati. So I feel that she should be mentioned in the Mahamantra. Well, Nagesh, we also need to understand, as we are talking about, Krishna is the root, not just of the entire universe. Krishna is also the root of all the other incarnations. When I hope you're also with us in Chaitanya Charitamrita, we saw that Krishna expanded as Balaram, and then Balaram expanded as the first Chaturvyuha, and then from that first Chaturvyuha came Narayan, and then from that Narayan came the second Chaturvyuha, and from that Chaturvyuha, in that Chaturvyuha was Mahasankarshan, who is not different from Karanodakshaya Vishnu, from whom came the Garbhodakshaya Vishnu, and then Shirodakshaya Vishnu, and all that details we discuss in great detail in Chaitanya Charitamrita.
It's like a rap, you are rapping.
So, why I'm saying this is, similarly, Srimati Radharani is the origin.
That also we discussed in
and this also we discussed in Chaitanya Charitamrita. She is the origin, the basis of all the other energies of the Lord, the queens of Dwarka, the Mahishi Gan. We use that Chaitanya Charitamrita uses that word Mahishi Gan, and the Lakshmis of Vaikuntha. So they're all expansions from Srimati Radharani. So those who worship Radha and Krishna, when we chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra, it indicates them. And those who want to worship Sita Ram indicates them. One who worships Lakshmi Narayan, it indicates them. So there is no contradiction. Hope, Nagesh, you are satisfied with your question answer. Okay, so next question is by Anand Rao Korada. There are two questions. In first, he's asking question. Second, he's saying that he has got the answer. Yes.
But since he has asked the question, so it is our duty to answer. So we have prepared the answer. So Anand is asking that question. All I knew is 9 planets as per astronomy and 9 grihas as per mythology. Neither of them name Brahmaloka. I'm inquisitive of 14 planets. Could you name them for me? So Nagesh, we have actually one of our devotee, Her Grace Tarni Radha Mataji. She takes care of children preaching program, and she has made a very sweet little rhyme to memorize the names, not only to know, but to memorize the name of these 14 planets. So we have, I think, Dipankar, if helping, you have the audio also. So here it is for you all.
We are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. We are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. Atala Vitala Sutala Tala Tala Mahatala Rasatala Patala. Atala Vitala Sutala Tala Tala Mahatala Rasatala Patala. No stops down there, we are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. No stops down there, we are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. No stops at Bhuvarswar, Mahajanas, Tapas or Satya, we are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. No stops at Bhuvarswar, Mahajanas, Tapas or Satya, we are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. To jump with Krishna, to run with Krishna, to hop with Krishna, to skip with Krishna. We will swim all day in the Yamuna. There is so much fun in Golok Vrindavana. We will swim all day in the Yamuna. There is so much fun in Golok Vrindavana. We are on our way, we are on our way, we are on our way to Golok Vrindavan. We are on our way to Golok Vrindavan.
Hare Krishna. So hope you got your answers and hope it was a fun little learning experience for all our viewers there about the 14 planetary system which we were discussing in the last session of Gita Mastery Course.
Okay, so next question is by Dr. Lavanya. And Krishna will come only when the last man on earth comes to know about him. Dr. Lavanya, your question is not very clear, but what I understand is you are asking about when Krishna comes. Well, Krishna comes once in day of Brahma, right? So, and in this Gita Mastery course sessions that we did this week, we are talking about Brahma's one day. We spoke about his one night. We spoke about his 1 year and the entire life. So Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, appears once in day of Brahma. And I think that we discussed in one of the Chaitanya Charitamrita sessions. We had the whole description there.
I think 5th chapter.
Yeah. So, and second point is when the Lord appears, but Lord appears as mentioned in the scriptures. So scriptures have detail. When does different incarnations incarnate in this material world? So they have a schedule. So already mentioned in the scriptures, like many people talk about Kalki, an incarnation of the Lord who's due to appear. But then it's mentioned that he will appear at the end of kaliyuga. So he will come, he will appear, and then he will do what is required, and after that then Satyuga will start. So they appear on schedule. Okay, so next question. Okay, that is we are already completed. Next question is by Shreya. Shreya is saying, can someone who attain a spiritual form see what is happening in the material world? Well, Shreya, one thing we need to know is that the one who actually we are trying to just contemplate that, okay, if I were to go to spiritual world, would I just turn around and see what's happening in the material world? Probably, we're just contemplating from that point of view. But please understand who goes to the spiritual world. When we develop intense love, and when we are not able to bear separation from the Supreme Lord, and we are so completely absorbed in His service, that's the time when we are actually ready to go to the spiritual world. So once we are in the spiritual world, we are always with the Supreme Lord, beautiful, wonderful, most perfect personality. And there are so many other devotees. So there actually we don't even have time to...
We don't have any desire, no interest.
Yeah, no interest, no desire, no time for anything else. Right? So they, so this doesn't occur to them. Okay, let me look around and what's happening. It's just like some bad dream, which they had. It's like that.
But yes, if they really somehow develop that desire, so it is a desire fulfilling land. So whatever they desire gets fulfilled. Though they do not have that desire at all.
Yes.
Moving to the next question by Anuradha. Radhe Krishna, can we share prasadam that offered to Sri Krishna to non-veg eating people? Yes, we can share Krishna Prasad. Krishna Prasad is Krishna's mercy, and it can be distributed to one and all without any conditions. So anyone, anywhere, in any form of life can honor Krishna Prasad. So there is no difficulty at all. For the one who's cooking and offering, there are conditions. But for one who is eating, we call it honoring actually, because it is Krishna's prasad. So for one who is honoring that prasad, there is no qualification.
Yeah, thank you, Sugiti. I was just thinking about the previous question of Shreya, that why would somebody see what is happening in the material world? So I was just thinking that we know that jail is not a nice place and there's a lot of suffering, and so we may never have a desire to go there and see what's happening. What to talk about, go inside and experience that suffering.
We may have a desire to watch any documentary as what is going on.
Because that we are contaminated. No, because see, we may have that desire, but when we talk about great devotees, they are always wanting to hear about the Lord. They want to read about the Lord, the scriptures. They want to sing about the Lord, so they don't have time for any other business.
Moving to the next question which is the next question by Shreya. No, we have answered that.
One second.
It's not showing in our screen.
Okay, we can see here.
Okay, we have answered.
Yeah, this one. Okay, we've answered. Then this is the question by Hari Prasad. As per today's session, it is stated that this material world and the lowest planetary system are miserable one, and they will have birth and death repeatedly. So, well, it is not just for this lower planetary system, it's for the entire material world, including from Satyaloka to the lowest planet. We continue with your question. Please advise the reason behind why Supreme Lord Vaman Dev placed Bali Maharaj in the lowest planetary system, although he surrendered to the Supreme Lord. Instead of abiding onto spiritual world, he was placed in the lowest planetary system. Please explain the reason behind. Whether Bali Maharaj applicable to birth and death repeatedly. Well, we need to understand that Bali Maharaj is a very exalted devotee of the Lord, right? We need to understand that he is a very exalted devotee of the Lord. And please understand the context. Bali Maharaj had forcefully occupied the post of Indra. Because he had gained so much of prowess by pleasing the Brahmanas who came in the line of Bhrigumuni. So he had received so much of blessings from them that the Devatas could not resist Bali Maharaj. So Bali Maharaj by force occupied the post of Indra. But then we know, because Indra has been appointed by an arrangement of the Lord, so Lord came as Vaman Dev and then took that post away from Bali Maharaj and gave it back to that Indra. But then at the same time, we understand that Bali Maharaj was given Sutala planet, but it was actually had superior facilities than the heavenly planets. Right? So that is what is described, and that's why it was given by the Lord. Second, this Sutala planet was actually constructed, and the palace was specially constructed by Vishwakarma. So Lord had made Vishwakarma construct a special place for Bali Maharaj living. And then Lord also gave a lot of benediction. He said, this place will be protected personally by me. I will personally protect your place of residence. Sudarshan Chakra will kill any attackers. And the most amazing part that any residents who will be staying here will be free from any bodily trouble, from any material trouble. They will not experience fatigue. They will not experience any dizziness. They will not experience defeat or natural calamities like we are having this pandemic right now. So Bali Maharaj, where he is staying, there is no disease. There is no natural calamity. And then Lord said, I will personally be there as your doorman. Right? So, and then Lord said, by seeing me, you will develop great amount of devotion. And all these material desires and anxieties will just go away. So if you, and yes, Lord also blessed him that in next Manvantar, Bali Maharaj will become the next Indra. So because he took that post by force, so Lord said, this is not the way properly of doing it, but I will give you the same post in the next life, because Bali Maharaj had so much desire to become Indra. So your question, why he was not taken to the spiritual world? Because Bali Maharaj had a desire to become Indra. So Lord fulfilled that desire, and of course he is a great devotee, and eventually he will actually go back to the spiritual world.
Actually, to know more about Bali Maharaj and his pastime, I would strongly recommend that you go through our Bhakti Yoga Made Easy session, the final session where we have discussed about Atma Nivedanam, and there we have dealt this case of Bali Maharaj in detail. Prabhu has given a beautiful description there. So you can go and check it out. Moving to the next question by Shreya, if the pathway to liberation itself is so difficult and conditional for a Yog Mishra Bhakt, then why would someone even practice that bhakti? So now Shreya, such a person, I mean, we are finding it difficult, but then different people have different inclinations. So a person who's practicing Ashtanga Yoga, when we were reading the 6th chapter and we discussed in detail about Ashtanga Yoga and how the practice of Ashtanga Yoga itself is so very difficult, yet they become attracted to that process. So they find that interesting. They may feel, Bhakti Yoga, like how, I don't know if you are attending Chaitanya Charitamrita class. So in the last session, we were discussing Prakashan and Saraswati is telling Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, why are you dancing up and down like a fanatic? Why don't you read Vedant? So you see, for him, dancing and singing and doing devotional service, chanting the holy names, he was not finding it attractive. So different people have different inclinations. So Krishna is giving, while in Bhagavad Gita, he is giving all different options. He is talking to different categories of people simultaneously, but then simultaneously he is also saying that bhakti yoga is the best. So your question, why would someone do this yoga practice if it is so difficult? Because that is what they find challenging. Maybe some people, they don't like simple life becomes simple, and they say, no, I want some challenges. There should be something which pushes me, which should like keep me going, and everything comes so easily to me, I don't enjoy that. So probably it is for those people.
And also they may not receive knowledge in proper disciplic succession, and they do not really understand the greatness of bhakti yoga. Okay. Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Mataji for giving us blissful divine experience, which started with Gita Made Easy to Bhakti Yoga Made Easy, Chaitanya Charitamrita to Gita Mastery Course. I consider fortunate enough to be associated with you both and studygita.com, which has transformed my life totally. The way I look at people, behave in situations and live life, but still I feel I am just in the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Now I'm chanting minimum 4 rounds of Mahamantra. I would like to chant 16 rounds every day by Supreme Lord's grace. Please give some tips for the beginners who would like to chant 16 rounds. Once again, my heartfelt thanks to both of you for transforming many, many people like me.
Thank you so much, Leena, for talking about your journey. Actually, we are also very grateful for our journey with all of you, and we are also very, very happy. We are delighted when we read such messages that how your spiritual life is like going higher and higher. So it is wonderful. So now you're chanting 4 rounds and you want to chant 16 rounds. So initially, what would be the biggest hiccup what people face when they start chanting 16 rounds is they start saying, I don't have time. So believe me, time is there. It is just that we have to become a good time manager. So ideally, if since you have not mentioned, I don't know much about your background, but ideally the best is if we get up early in the morning and chant our 16 rounds. That is like nothing compares that. That is ideal. That is the best if that can happen. But suppose if you are, like you have mentioned, Dr. Leena Goda, so if you are working somewhere and if you have a tight schedule and you don't get so much time in the morning, so what is an easy way which Prabhupada would say is about dividing these 16 rounds in a group of 4, 4, 4 and 4 and connect with each meal. So 4 rounds before breakfast, 4 rounds before lunch, 4 rounds before dinner, and 4 rounds before you go to sleep. So if we spread this way in a group of 4, 4, 4, 4 throughout the day, then it becomes easy. I mean, then we find time to do it. So I've given you 2 options. Early morning is the best, but otherwise you can also spread it over. But what would really help you is having a japa discipline or a japa schedule. So whatever time you fix, I mean, you assign a specific time in a day which your mind knows that this is your japa time, which your family also knows that this is your japa time. So they do not disturb you during that time, neither your mind nor your family. And best is to put the phone on silent so that when you are chanting, then others also don't disturb you at that time. So all the best. Happy chanting.
Next question is by Payal Ajay. Time of death and bhav was explained. What about the untimely death that is happening during this pandemic times? In my family, there was a case of 3-day-old baby passing away, not because of COVID, and 1-year-old baby passing away because of COVID. My father passed away when I was 14 years old in an unfortunate accident. Well, Payal, we need to understand this material world. We saw Krishna describing it as a place of misery, and elsewhere this material world is described as padam padam yat vipadam na tesham, that at every step there is danger in this material world. Of course, there is always this danger of accidents, which can happen. And then we may not be having a body which is usable, so we have to give it up and then wait for the next body to come. Or for example, the present times when we're having this pandemic, so this is like an adi daivik problem, which is a problem which has come from Mother Nature. Of course, so this is affecting so many people around us. Well, that is why we have to be prepared, and that is why it is said that this death can come at any moment. So we may live up to our time as according to our destiny, or it may be cut short, and we really have no control over it. In the sense, we are trying to be very, very careful about COVID, but what can be done? It is there are people who do not move out, and just somehow, some other way, they are infected because it's a highly infectious disease, and they land up in hospital, or they may not get a bed, or they may not get oxygen. So many complications are there. So we need to understand this point, that at every step there is danger in this material world, because we are in this material body, and circumstances may change, and it may, we cannot always predict things. Second, therefore we must be prepared. So how a devotee should think? A materialist thinks, I've got 100 more years to enjoy. How a devotee thinks, this is my last day. So if we think that today is my last day, am I ready? No, I'm not ready. Oh, I need to do so much, right? And I must do whatever I do very nicely, sincerely. So that is the kind of attitude I think that we need to develop. And then we, whether it's a disease, or whether it's an accident, or whether there's whatever comes our way, I think we'll be ready. So we need to be, bottom line, we need to be prepared. That can happen to any one of us at any point in time. So Payal, in that case, we are also having every evening, we are having a japa prayer session starting today from 6 p.m.
We are on our way
And I
to
hope that you
Golok
join us,
Vrindavan.
and that together we can chant and we can invoke the blessings and the mercy of the Lord. Chaitanya Mahaprabhu inaugurated Sankirtan movement. We will try to chant the holy names together with as many people as we can.
So Payal and all of you there.
Yes, of course.
Moving to the next question by Lata Mataji and Prabhuji, the following dilemma keeps cropping up in my mind. On one hand, pure devotion without seeking any desire is the best form of bhakti yoga. But in order to perform material world tasks, we need expertise, wisdom, confidence, knowledge, skills, and so on. And hence I need to pray Krishna to help in completion of the task on hand. Asking such favors is against bhakti yoga, but I feel helpless for my inefficiency and pray to Krishna. What else to do? Else our superiors in material world will be upset with us for not completing the task. Looking forward for your guidance on how to deal with this. So Lata, as we read in the 7th chapter, Krishna is talking about 4 categories of people who come to him, and he mentions that all 4 categories he considers as Mahatma, and he is merciful on them. He fulfills their desire. So yes, but then later on in the same chapter, he also talks about the best devotees. And more so in 8th chapter, in the 14th verse, he's talking about the one who has just one desire, and that is to please Krishna and no other desire. So now how do we link these 2 things, and how do we reach at a perfect place? So I'll quote from my personal experience with my spiritual master. So I asked him a question once when I was not keeping good health, and I wasn't very sure if it was okay to pray to Krishna for good health. So I asked my Guru Maharaj that is it okay to pray to Krishna, because I understand I'm in similar confusion I was having, that health is something which is material. So why or how do I go and ask Krishna for something material? So my Guru Maharaj made a correction there in my prayer, and he said you can pray to Krishna that if you think and if you so desire, if it pleases you, kindly bestow good health to me so that I can do more services. So for services, I can pray for my health also. So similarly, if there is something which you think, like for example, if we have, let's say, husband or in-laws at home who are difficult to please, and when they get upset, and then the whole atmosphere is like full of negativity and I get so disturbed and I'm not able to chant my rounds also. So if in that way, if I pray that, oh Krishna, please make the situation of my house conducive for my japa. So then that automatically includes that everyone is cooperative and everyone is positive and you get everybody's blessings, and that is how. So again, your focus is on your japa. You are praying to Krishna not for making your in-laws happy or making your parents happy or keeping your children satisfied, because that is not possible. I mean, we cannot satisfy everyone all the time. But what we can satisfy, what we can do is pleasing the Supreme Lord. So that should be our prayer, and whatever comes as a hindrance to that, we can pray to Krishna to resolve that, so that I can focus on Krishna. So hope that answers your question.
But I was very happy to see that you knew that praying for all of this is actually a hindrance to your pure devotional service. So I think you are on track. Okay, so next question is by Nagesh Moholkar. Hare Krishna, I used Tulsi Japa Mala for chanting by mistake. One bead got broken from the mala. So 107 beads are there. So should I buy a new mala or can I continue chanting on this mala? Can we get separate Tulsi bead so that we can attach or fix it to the mala? Well, Nagesh, fixing a broken bead is really a technical thing. I have not seen individual beads being sold, and there are some people I've seen in Vrindavan, in Radha Kund, Shyam Kund area, or in Mayapur where they fix Tulsi beads. So I suggest in the meanwhile you try to get a new mala and you chant on that.
Okay, moving to the question by Smita Karan. Hare Krishna, how many types of destruction in the material world? Please explain. So Smita, I think I saw you attending the session yesterday or today. So I am hoping that this is being answered, because we discussed in great detail about the 3 types of destruction. So we have discussed that there are 3 types of destruction. One, when we die, one, Brahma's night time, and the third one, when Brahma's lifespan gets over. So if it is still not clear to you, I would suggest that you go back to the recording and listen to the section carefully, because there we have discussed it in great length. Also in question 9, in the question I marked 4,32,000 as the right answer, but it has been marked wrong. Please clarify the answer. So the question there is, what is one yuga cycle? So 4,32,000 is just kaliyuga, but yuga cycle comprises of Satyug, Treta, Dwapar and Kali, the total of that. So the total of that is 432,0000. So 10 is less in 4,32,000, and that is why it is not accepting this as the right answer. Hope that is clear. You can check again. Yes. Moving to the next question. Can you move to the next question? Yes. Moving to the next question by Achar Yulu. I do mala 6 times a day. Is it necessary that we close our eyes and I do with my eyes open? So there is no such hard and fast rule that you have to close your eyes or you can leave your eyes open. You can actually leave your eyes open, whatever is favorable for you in concentrating on the holy names. So the principle is that we should hear the names carefully. So if you think that opening your eyes and that is more helpful, you can go ahead for that.
Next question is again by Smita Karan. Hare Krishna, yogi living in light means when yogi has fixed his concentration in the middle of the eyebrows. Please clarify. Well, Smita, that's not the case. The yogi living in light means that he lives in the influence of the fiery god or sun, right? So it refers to that and not to fixing the concentration on the middle of the eyebrows.
Okay, there is a question by Raghunath. Please give examples or name of Yog Mishra Bhakta. So Raghunath, I was thinking about this. Few examples what I can come up with is Jad Bharat, the Bharat Maharaj when he came as Jad Bharat. So he was one such example. Then we have Dhruv Maharaj when he goes to the forest and then he was doing this process of Ashtanga Yoga. Even Narad Muni is an example, initial days before becoming, so all these devotees whom I am naming before becoming pure devotees, they adapted to the process of Ashtanga Yoga and then they became Yog Mishra Bhakta and then they became pure devotees.
Next question is by Bhagyavati Karuna Devidasi, in Chaitanya Charitam class, you have been explaining about Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastime with Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. In Adi Leela, doesn't pastime of the Lord start with his birth? I think that is for a particular day for Ram Navami.
No. The chapter, it will come. The birth pastime would come. But here we are still in chapter 7. And there Srila Krishnadas Kaviraj actually talks about this particular pastime of Prakash Nanda Saraswati. Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, yes, that we were discussing only for the Ramayan pastime. So that was a different...
From Madhya Leela, we discussed that specific pastime because that was the Ram Navami day, and Lord displayed his six-handed form. Lord Chaitanya displayed the two hands of Lord Krishna and also two hands of Lord Ram. So that was the reason why we discussed that particular pastime in one of the CC classes. And even now we are discussing about Prakash Nanda Saraswati pastime, but we are going in the sequence. So very shortly we will be witnessing the others. So with this, we are stopping here because from today at 6 o'clock, we have our Zoom Japa session. So we invite those questions which we have not yet answered. We will be sending you the reply over the email. And we request you all to kindly join on our Zoom for chanting one round together. So thank you all very much. Signing off from here. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.